Best conference in college football this year. I don't want to know about the last decade. I know that it is. This year, 2016, is the SEC the clear-cut best conference in college football. But I also thought of another one. I was listening to Jay White's show a couple of days ago, and it was so funny because he was cracking me up. And he was talking about how much he disliked Chris Collinsworth and Gary Danielson, and how much a lot of football fans, viewers, listeners dislike the two guys. But what I thought as I was driving, I think I was driving home, was I like both of them. So I couldn't help. Yeah. That's what makes all of this fun is, we can do, there are things that we do that Jay's like, I don't like that guy, but Bo does. And there are things that Jay or Jake does or Chris, and they may like somebody and I may not. But I love Collinsworth, and I really like Gary Danielson. And SEC fans, now I think a lot of it today is because it's saturated and we have access to every game, and we can stop the game and rewind it, and we can go back and watch the game again. And we have social media, so whether we have 53 followers or 5,000 followers, we can comment on, he missed that number. He missed that name. His name's Franklin, not Thomas. That type of deal. While we're, again, sipping on a Sierra Nevada and chomping on some good old ribs off the grill. But I like both. But he was funny. He was like, man, they do come off as smug and this and that. I was also thinking we could do a poll. Who do you hate worse, Chris Collinsworth or Gary Danielson? No, I don't want to. Who do you dislike more?
Right.
Let's do it like that. Who do you dislike more, Chris Collinsworth or Gary Danielson? But we may go with the clear cut. Is the SEC the clear cut best conference in college football this year? And man, as bad as the East is, and it's awful. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. Georgia's not any good. Florida's not any good. Tennessee's not any good. South Carolina's not any good. And then it dips with Kentucky, Vandy, and Mizzou. Mizzou beat Vandy last weekend 26-17. I don't even know what that tells me. You would have had to have paid me, Drew, to watch that game. Drew would have had to call me and say, Bo, you have to watch. And I don't even know if $100 would have done it. It may have had to. Bo, you have to watch the whole game. I think I'm thinking 300, 400 plus.
I'd like to know how many people actually watch that whole game.
I'd like to know how many of our listeners, and we have a lot, both online and listening, and we have thousands and thousands of people listening throughout the morning. I would love to know how many people watch that game. And then out of those who did you have money on it? I mean, wouldn't that be your next question? Right. That would be my next. If somebody said, oh, yeah, I watched a good bit of it, not every play, but even a good bit of it, I'd say, well, did you bet on it, right? I'd have to believe 90-something% of them would say it.
That would be the safe assumption, yeah. Well, why else would you watch it?
How many in our audience do you think know that the starting quarterback, including Ole Miss fans, just because, and I'm saying that because Ole Miss is playing Vanderbilt, but that the starting QB for Vanderbilt is Kyle Shermer, and that the starting QB for Missouri is Drew Lock? How many of our what do you think the percentage of listeners? 20?
Yeah, I was going to say 30.
I'll go like 10.
Yeah.
Real low percentage.
Let me give you some numbers on what Shea Patterson could do to what Shea Patterson or Chad Kelly, but it's going to be Shea Patterson this weekend. What Shea Patterson could do to the Vanderbilt defense. Brent Stockstill, Middle Tennessee State, threw for 400 yards against Vandy. 3 TDs, 1 pick. Jacob Eason is a true freshman. Vanderbilt, Georgia. That was several weeks ago. So he was even greener several weeks ago. Jacob Eason threw for 346 yards against Vanderbilt.
Eason
threw for 346 yards and a touchdown and no picks against Vandy. And the mighty Drew Locks, his name's Drew Lock.
Right.
But he's the mighty Drew Locks because that's what Missouri is going to be referred to now. The mighty Drew Locks threw for 294 and 2 TDs and 0 picks against the Vanderbilt.
It ain't bragging if you can back it up.
Boom.
He backed it up.
Boom. Drew Lock looked like a first-team All-American against the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Easy.
Jacob Eason looked like a first-team All-American against the Vanderbilt Commodores. And Brent Stockstill looked like a first-team. He threw for 400. 3 TDs, 1 pick for Middle Tennessee State against Vandy.
So what you're telling me is that Shays Heisman is going to go ahead and be solidified this weekend?
No question. It's like I'm in it is amazing the things that have been said to me this week as I have jumped around between kids' activities and just seeing people.
You know, if there's one thing to be concerned about is that
By the way, it had been said to me on Shea Patterson
Right.
by Ole Miss fans.
for Ole Miss, there's one thing to be concerned about is Derek Mason is known to shut down like spread type offenses in his time at Stanford, and he even did pretty well against Ole Miss last year.
Last year was a pretty close game. By no means.
I never felt like Ole Miss was in jeopardy of losing that game last year, even though Vandy did stay within, 10 for a little while, and then they extended the lead.
Well, I mean, the block punt kind of solidified everything. But, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. They weren't in jeopardy of losing that ball game, but it was a little closer than they, wanted or expected.
Okay, I just wanted to give those numbers. 399 yards, 346 yards, 294 yards.
So the Heisman solidified this weekend.
Shagermeister.
Is going to sling.
What number would you – I mean, the kid's filthy talented.
303. He's going to have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He'll have a pick.
Oh, I think he'll go way over 300.
I go 277.
Way over 300.
It's not going to be as good as.
You think he shatters 4? No.
No, I think it's over 350.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, if I have right here that Brent Stockstill with Middle Tennessee went for 399 against Vandy, and Jacob Eason for 346, and Jacob Eason and Brent Stockstill don't have even close to the wide receivers that Shea has. Hello.
I would like to know how many. If I remember correctly, the Middle Tennessee game was pretty quick or pretty close. So I'm wondering how much of those are trash yards. At the end of the game, where someone maybe lobbing.
They actually beat MTSU pretty good.
Okay, so those were trash yards. So he was getting trash yards. So what about all the other guys? I guess that's what. I don't think. I guess what I'm saying there is Shea's not going to be slinging 40-yard passes in the fourth quarter when they're up 20.
That's a good point.
And those other guys, I think Middle Tennessee, if they were losing handedly, they are slinging those. They are picking up trash yards.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, I guess.
Vanderbilt went to Georgia and won, and Eason threw for 346. I just want you to think about that. 601-707-3750. It's powered by C Spire's iPhone 7 on their Max Range LTE network. And we'll broadcast live from the C Spire Connerly event in Clarksdale, Mississippi at the Clarksdale Country Club the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I would have to believe that Ole Miss will nominate Chad Kelly. And I'm thinking Mississippi State will nominate A.J. Jefferson. And then Southern Miss will still nominate Nick Mullins, even though Kelly and Mullins have been hurt. But 2 outstanding players. Let's go to the phones before we go to the SEC Insider hit. John, good morning.
Hey,
what do you have for me?
Look, man, Gary Danielson by far has to be worse because I don't know who pays him when he broadcasts. Is it CBS? or the University of Alabama?
That's
I
pretty
cannot
good.
stand to watch those games that he does. I mean, it's like he knows every little talent stat about Alabama. And if they do something bad, if you listen to him closely, he'll refer to himself as we. So I'm like, are you in Alabama? I mean, what are you doing? So who pays you? The University of Alabama or the CBS? But by far, he's worse than Chris Collinsworth.
All right, there we go. We got good. We needed that. We wanted some feedback from our listeners. John, thank you for the call. And he has Danielson is worse than Chris Collinsworth. What does this say about me? I love both. We'll take a break. That was the big board brought to you by the super cool Barber jackets at Circle 7, Highway 463 in Madison. We're on the Circle 7 property. That's where the Bank Plus studio is. I said they're super cool. They'll keep you warm. I just mean they look cool. How about that?
Yeah, you need to clarify that.
Yeah. The Barber jackets will keep you warm, but they're super cool at Circle 7. You can visit them online, Circle 7, that's the number 7, circle7online.com. Quality goods for the sporting life, straight ahead, Insider Hit.